Let's find out if you're ready for love. Here's your marvelous host, Nikki Lee.
Hello, and welcome to Ready for Love Radio. This is your host and love coach, Nikki Lee. Ladies, do you have a problem with the man in your life doing what he needs to do and stepping up and making decisions? Do you ever feel like he just doesn't wear the pants in your relationship? Do you ever say, I just wish he'd take the lead? You know, I'm tired of being the one that has to wear the pants around here. Now, you know I don't mean wear the pants like put a pair of jeans on. That's not what I'm talking about. Now, today I've got a guest. His name is Elliott Katz. And if you were listening about 4 to 6 weeks ago, you might have heard another show about his other book. But we're going to talk about his new book this week. It's called How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to. So, Elliott, it's great to have you with me today.
Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I didn't know you had a new book. So, you know, we talked about your other book, and we've so we got 2 different things that we need to see if we can't help men do to, you know, take the lead and be stronger in relationships and now to be the ones making decisions in the relationship. So, you know, there seems to be some confusion in relationships. But let me give the listeners a little bit of background about you, and then we're going to talk about this, and we're going to see if maybe we can discuss this, and we can help men and women kind of straighten out the confusion and get on the right track. What do you think? Can we help them with that?
That would be excellent. It would bring a lot of peace in marriages.
I think so too. I think and less frustration and make some people happier. And you know, I like to make people happier. So
absolutely,
so
I'm
Elliott,
with you.
I tell you, Elliott is a coach and an author of How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants So You Don't Have to, inspiring him to make decisions, take the lead, and stop leaving it all to you, and being the strong man a woman wants, timeless wisdom on being a man. He's done many radio and television interviews. He teaches the principles in his books to men and women and speaks to groups. After the end of a relationship, Elliott Katz sought to learn about being a man in a relationship. He found books on relationships really said little to him, so he found powerful, timeless insights that help clarify the confusion many men have about what it means to actually be a man in a relationship. People started seeking his advice and would say, why didn't somebody tell me this before? You know, I have a feeling other men listening are going, yeah, seriously, you know, why didn't people tell us why haven't people told us what we need to know? And, you know, and there's plenty of guys probably going, I'm doing what I think I need to do, and it's not making her happy, and I don't understand why. Do you think maybe there's some of that going through people's heads right now?
There is a lot of it. I have heard it so many times, and this is exactly the problem that my book is trying to address, that men have heard all these messages that, you know, don't be controlling. Of course, don't be controlling, but they think if they just do whatever their wives want, their wife should be happy, and she's not happy, and he can't understand why. And I've coached men who've been married like 20, 30 years who are divorced, who said, nobody ever told me. Like, I tell them, you got to be the man in the relationship. She doesn't want to always have to tell you what to do. I've had women tell me they divorced their husbands because they always had to tell them what to do, and it made her feel like she was his mother and he was a child, and she doesn't want to be his mother. Yeah. But to the man, he thinks, I'm being such a great guy. I'm such a great husband and father. I just do whatever she wants. I'm always asking her, what do you want me to do? And then I do it. So why is she not happy? He doesn't understand why. And you know what? I'm sure you know, like men and women, they kind of speak different languages. So
yes.
So when a woman says to the man, you're not doing enough, and he thinks, what are you talking about? I'm doing so much at home. I come home, I'm going nonstop. I do whatever you tell me to do. And I say to the men, I said, you know, just coming home and then just do whatever your wife tells you to do is what a mother's helper does. It's not what a husband and a father does. I teach them, you got to show your share of leadership. You got to see situations that are going on and step forward and try to solve them. Take responsibility for what's going on in your home. You know, she really wants you to look up. She really wants to look up to you. She wants you to make her feel safe and protected. And she doesn't feel safe and protected when she always has to tell you what to do. It's the men. Go ahead, Nikki.
If she has to do everything and tell you what to do and has to initiate everything, why does she need you?
Exactly. That's what I tell men. I say, you think bringing in the money? She divorces you, you'll still give her money. Don't worry. That's right. Exactly. You're exactly right, Nikki. But men don't understand that because all the messages we hear today, toxic masculinity, controlling, abusive, is like, no, I don't want to be any of those things. Every man I know says, I don't want to be any of those things. I want to be a good man. So I just do whatever she tells me. I come home, I work all day, I come home, I do whatever she tells me. When there's a decision to be made, men will say, well, you know, so many times she asked me to make a decision. Like, it really doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want, you decide. I tell men, don't ever say whatever you want, you decide. If she asks for your input on a decision, it's because she wants you to say what you think. So even if it doesn't make it, you know, men will say to them, but really, those decisions don't matter to me. Either way is fine. Then if it's either way is fine, just choose one. Make a decision because it makes her feel safe and protected. But, you know, in today's world, all the messages we hear in the media and other places, men don't hear that. Like so many men have said to me, I never heard this before. You know, I was coaching a man, he was married 32 years. He said, no one ever told me this. All my 32 years of marriage, I didn't know this. If I had known this while I was married, I probably wouldn't be divorced. It's a common thing I hear men say. It's because
and you know, leading up to our show today, I did a show last week with a friend of mine, and we covered a lot of this kind of preemptively last week about being a man that's not toxic, and being a man that does lead the house and does things in such a way that I'm going to put a link to that show on the show page with the replay for today's show and a link to the other show that you and I did together. I think all three of them are going to go together really well to give people real interesting insights. And to people who don't like to read, I'm going to tell you, you can listen to all three of those, and this book is a quick read, very easy to read. So for people that don't want a real complicated book, I'm making it really easy for you to get all the information, and the book is an easy read. So I'm making it easy for you.
And it's also available as an audio book. So if you could listen to it while you're driving, makes it very easy.
There you go.
So let me just review. So my earlier book, Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom on Being a Man, tells men the importance of knowing what's going on in your home and your family, stepping forward. You see a situation that's not being dealt with, step forward. Come, do some research, find a solution. Don't just say to your wife, what should I do? There's this, what should I do? Wait, tell me what to do. No, you do the research, and then you decide, well, is this something I should talk to my wife about? In many cases, yes. You say, well, this is what I think the solution is to this situation. What do you think? And that's, well, that's good. You like people to show initiative, but don't ever come up to her empty-handed with no ideas. So that's what the first book, excuse me, that's what this earlier book is about. It's for men. But then women who read that book said, well, how do I get my man to take charge and wear the pants? So so that's what this new book, How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants, is about. And the thing is, see, women get frustrated because they really think men should know this. Like, I shouldn't have to tell him. He should know this. Well, he doesn't. But if you tell him, you can inspire him and motivate him to start wearing the pants and take charge. Once he knows that that's really what he's supposed to be doing, he'll start doing it. So like what this book is about, this new one, is about strategies on what to say to him to motivate him and make him feel good and make him realize, yeah, this is what I should be doing, because otherwise men think, oh, I don't want to be controlling. I'll just let her decide everything. I don't want to be controlling. But you say it's not about being controlling. And you step forward and say, if he says, whatever you want, you decide. What I want is to know what you want. That's what he wants to hear. And
right.
And if you ask him for like a decision to say, or some men, I've had men say this to me. He says, well, what if she doesn't let me lead? I say to him, it's not about letting. She's a woman, you're a man. She really wants you to be the leader. She doesn't want you to be a controlling tyrant, but she doesn't want you just waiting to be told what to do. So just realize she wants you to lead, and she wants you to be a good leader, and say, okay, this is what I think we should do. Okay, how to solve this problem? That's what she wants. And like so many men, when I tell them this, they say, nobody's ever told me this. They're married for 5 years, 10 years. No, why didn't anybody tell me this? It's all different things like that. Even on a first date, I've heard this so many times from women. Sometimes I speak at singles events and I ask women, how many women here have had a man call them up and ask for a date, and they say, yes, yeah, I'd like to go out. What did you have in mind? And he says, I don't know. What do you want to do? So
yes.
I say, how many? Most women put up their hands, and I say, just tell them. So I've had women say it really puts them off because it says to them, well, this guy can't even choose a place to go for a cup of coffee. How will he handle the challenges of marriage and family life? So I say, just say to him, I don't have any ideas. I bet you could come up with something good. Why don't you look on the internet, find something, and we'll do it. And he said, oh, okay. He got the message. He wants you to take charge. She wants you to take charge and plan the date. I said, she wants you to be a man with a plan. And really, men think they're being the greatest guy. I'll let her decide. I'm being non-controlling. I said, and why isn't she happy? That's
well, and society sends very, very mixed messages. It shows the woman making all the decisions and treating the man in her life like he's an idiot. And anytime he tries to speak up and do something, you see the woman like bashing him and treating him bad and putting him in his place and all this kind of stuff. So and people seem to have this, some people seem to have this problem thinking that TV is real, for some reason. I don't understand why they do, but they seem to think that that's how we're supposed to be. Heaven forbid,
Right. No,
and they take that as their model, but that's not real life, So, and a lot of people didn't have any real model to follow, no real advice as far as, how to be in a relationship, really how to date, this kind of thing, so that's where they're taking their cues, You're
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And talking about television, not only does are men portrayed as buffoons, it's like then he makes a mess, and it's the woman that has to come and rescue him. And so the man thinks, well, I just won't do anything because that way I won't get into a mess.
Right. Then you can't blame me if I didn't make a decision, So
right.
Like I said, there's just a lot of mixed messages if you listen to the hoopla in the media, all forms of media. So I can see how men can be very confused, and women are getting a whole lot of bad advice thrown at them. So it's really bizarre, the comments that I'm hearing coming out of a lot of young women about dating and marriage and men and this kind of stuff, and I question some of them and ask them, and the answers they give me, I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me if that's what you really think, And I was like, can we sit down and talk for a little while? Please, can we talk? I'd like to dig into that with you and kind of share some thoughts with you, But I could definitely see how men are confused about what in the world they should do. But so how did you get started writing books on relationships?
Well, it's a great question. So I was married, and I was like one of those people. Looking back, I realized I didn't know what I was doing. I was married, and then we got divorced. And, at first you blame the other person, common aftermath of divorce. And then I asked myself, what do I have to learn from all this? I don't want to go through this again. And I really set on a journey to learn, what does it mean to be a man in a relationship? I started talking to other men. It seems a lot of men are confused. Then I started reading books on relationships. They didn't really say all that much to me. But it was only when I turned to the teachings, and there's a lot of writings over the centuries by men giving advice to younger men about how to be a man in a relationship. And it really blew me away, because it coincided with what I heard women complain is lacking in men today. They don't show leadership, they don't make decisions, and they don't take responsibility. And there's this, gigantic rift, not a rift, but a difference between all the messages men have heard and what women really want. And sort of part of my book, Wear the Pants, is really how to say it to men so that I actually understand what you mean. So if you say to him, like, you're not doing enough, and he says, well, I do all these things, he says, no, I want you to take charge. I want you to, if you step forward and say, I'll handle it, and then you'll handle it, that would make me really happy. It would make me really happy if you would, take charge of putting the kids, taking charge of this problem with one of our children. Just handle it. Like, I can't handle everything. I can't find the solutions to everything. So yeah. I mean, sometimes, a man will be a take charge kind of person at his job, but at home he's just like a passive guy. And you'll say, well, look, you take charge at your job, and he'll say, oh, but at home I want to make my wife happy. I want to do it her way. So if she would say to him, well, you would make me happy if you would just handle it, take charge, just like you do at work. Take charge and handle it. On the other side, I've had women say to me, I may be a boss at work. She may be a professional with her own office, or I may be a boss at work, but when I'm with a man, I want to feel like a woman. I want him to take charge. And then, you have to say it in a way that men understand it. That's really what this book is about, how to get your man to wear the pants. These are ways to say it to a man that he will understand what you want. Because until now, he really doesn't know. It is so striking that so many men, are divorced, and they thought they were good husbands, and they really didn't know this, really. And it's sad because, these divorces are not necessary. It's not, if the man would learn this is what she really wants, and do it, and she would become happy, you could avoid divorce, you could avoid children from broken homes. It's just, and I guess at first, I thought it's just me, and it's just so amazing, just to realize this is a common problem. My earlier book about being the strong man a woman wants was translated into 24 languages around the world, on every continent. It's like, wow, so that must say something that men really need to learn this. It doesn't come naturally to them. So they could read my book, or if you're a woman, read How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants, and you are the one who could inspire him and motivate him. Don't be frustrated and fed up with him because you think he should know this. That's the word should, right? You say, he should already know this. I shouldn't have to teach him. Well, you're right. He should, but he doesn't. And you have the ability to inspire and motivate him and become that great man who makes you feel safe and protected.
There you go. I was just thinking about a couple that I grew up around and realized that the husband initiated helping other families but didn't step up and initiate doing things for his own family. That is so weird. I was listening to what you were saying and was just kind of, I don't know why, I had never realized that before.
Right.
Well, so weird.
It's fascinating. It's sort of like what I was saying. A man could be a leader at his job. He could be a leader in his community, but when he comes home, he's just a passive guy, just like, leaves it all to his wife. He doesn't realize, because a lot of men really think that's the right thing. I'll just leave it to her. She can't accuse me of being controlling. And then they think, well, if it turns out badly, she can't blame me, although you're still responsible. You can't, if it turns out badly, your wife will say, well, you should have told me not to do it. A lot of men think that. It's really
when you
go ahead.
When you were talking about that is when I thought about it, because he was the kind of person that would jump in with other stuff and help other people, and I know there was a lot of ways that he neglected his own family, but that was another way too. If he saw another family in need, he would jump in and help them. But man, wow, that was even on a bigger scale than I had realized before. That's fascinating. Huh. Wow. Okay. Okay. So what, for people that may have heard us say wear the pants and are kind of scratching their head, what does it mean to, quote unquote, wear the pants?
Well, wear the pants is it's interesting. There's all different words. Wear the pants is kind of like, sort of, but you'll catch attention getting. I think wearing the pants is taking charge. Is taking charge. Is showing some leadership. It's not waiting for your wife to tell you what to do. Really, you know what? It's about taking responsibility. People like to say leadership. Oh, that's could be controlling. It's about taking responsibility for what's going on in your home. You see there's problems. You see there's things to be done. You don't leave all these responsibilities on your wife and think, I'm being non-controlling. Take responsibility. You see a problem, it's not being dealt with, step forward and say, I think I have a way we can solve this. Don't leave it all to her. Just say, you are responsible. Really, traditionally the man, that was his role. He saw what was going on in his home. He took responsibility. It's the R word. They take responsibility. You see a problem in your home, don't just say, don't just blame your wife. I've coached guys, they'll talk about the problems in their home, and they'll blame their wife for them. I say, well, okay, you can blame your wife, but it's still, she's not solving it, so you've got to step forward and deal with it, and that's your job. And you do that, and people will respect you more. And don't just blame. It's your job. And once he did that, it's like, wow, things start turning around for him.
It does make a difference. So, how's the right way? It's interesting how women don't understand why men won't wear the pants in the relationship, and men don't understand why women are upset with them for not wearing the pants. So everybody is frustrated for one another, and neither one of them understand why the other one won't do it. So what do we do about this? Nobody wants to have to wear the pants, and nobody understands why the other one's not doing it. They're both frustrated with each other. So we got this big conundrum that everybody's upset and confused. So what do we do about it?
I love the way you put it. That's exactly right. Each one doesn't understand. So what do we do about it? We that's why I wrote these books, right? To share these ideas, to make people aware.
As I could possibly make that question.
Right. No, but that's what it is. So, men don't realize, this is what they need to do. But their marriages are going nowhere. And like I said, well, look, this is your marriage is going down the tubes because you have to change yourself. Everybody comes, for coaching, blaming the other person because they don't realize what they're not doing or what they should be doing. They don't realize it. So, I can't change the other person, but you can change yourself. So when I tell men, this is what you have to do. It's not about changing your spouse, it's about changing yourself. And your spouse will respond differently to. It's I tell you, in my own journey and in the men I've coached, they'll say, does it really make such a big difference? Is it really going to make her happy if I make all these decisions that really don't matter to me? Yes, do it, and you'll see. And I remember one fellow, I told him, and he's actually divorced, but he has a new relationship. So for his new girlfriend, he was, making all these decisions that really didn't matter to him. And she said to him, when you do that, you make me feel safe and protected. It's like, wow, he didn't realize this. It really makes a difference because men really think, well, here, you decide this, you decide that. I'm too busy earning money. So I tell men, you earn money, you work hard at your job to earn money to provide a nice life for your family. In the same way, you have to save some energy to step forward and take responsibility for what's going on at home for the same reason, because you want a nice life for your family. You don't want to be divorced. You don't want your children to be from a broken home. Do this, and it's do it. You'll see the difference. And like I said, a lot of men say, really, it's going to make a difference? I said, do it. See what happens. And really, it happens. If you look at some of the comments from my book on Amazon, like for the Being the Strong Man books, women say, yeah, I got my husband to read this, and he's starting to do it, and you've saved our marriage. You've given us hope for our marriage. Because men really didn't know this. And like you say, you watch television, a lot of young men grow up in families without fathers, or their fathers weren't really strong male role models. Where are they supposed to learn this? Where are they supposed to learn
it?
So I tell men, well, start by reading the books, but when you learn it, share it with other men. Be a role model. Mentor other men. Mentor younger men. Mentor, other men who are married and having problems. Teach them. Because really, that's what we need. That's what really traditionally went on. Older men taught this to younger men. The thing is, it doesn't come naturally to men, to most men. That they have to be leaders. Right. They have to be strong. They have to learn this from a father, or if they don't have a father, an uncle, a grandfather, or another man who can teach it to them. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to change the men of the world so there's less divorce and less children from broken homes.
It's funny because my boyfriend and I were having this conversation, and we were talking, and it works both ways. Because, like, he'll ask me what I want to have for dinner, right? Because when we'll get together and we'll order something for dinner, and he'll say, what are you in the mood for this evening? And I normally just don't care. If I don't have to cook and clean up, food is food. I'm just good if I don't have to pay for it and I don't have to clean it up, right? So he'll ask me, and I'll be like, I really don't care, and then I'll say whatever my preference is. And he looked at me one time. He says, I really, really appreciate that. And I'm like, what? He's like, you don't care. I get that. He says, but you do make a choice. I appreciate that it doesn't matter to you, and if I prefer something else, you've given me that opening. But you also say, this is my preference, but what do you, and basically I'm leaving it open. This is what I would prefer, but, do you have something else you'd like? Is basically what I'm saying when I say that, So it's the same thing. I'm not just leaving it wide open and just, saying nothing and leaving it open. He's asking for my opinion, so I'm giving it to him, and then that's opening a conversation kind of thing. So, It's not just leaving it and I am shirking any responsibility to give him an answer kind of deal. Know what I mean?
Yeah. No, well, it works both ways, right? So,
yeah,
it's like what I was saying before. When a man asks a woman out on a date and doesn't have a clue what he wants to do, it's a turn off. So answer, even if it doesn't matter to you, give an answer.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. Well, like I said, at least it opens up the conversation, So, yeah, if somebody tells me something like that and has nothing, I'm like, okay, surprise me,
Right.
So
right.
if somebody wants to go do something and doesn't have an answer, I'll be like, okay, well, surprise me. I'm not going to make it easy for you.
Right. Good.
So, especially a first date. No. I'm going to learn something about you, or I'm not going.
Right.
But I don't know. So, what are some ways to inspire a man and help him to make decisions and stop just saying, okay, whatever you want, you decide? Because sometimes you kind of got to ease some people into this. You kind of got to, you can't just dump it all on them. You gotta kind of step them into it. You know what I mean?
Right. So one of the things I talk about in the book is, if he says I'm easygoing or whatever you want, just say, I really respect a man who can make a decision. I find men that very attractive, and it would make me happy if you would make the decision. I really want you to make the decision. And then he's like, oh. Because until then he didn't realize it. Until then, he thought, I'm being the nicest guy. Why is she not happy? Just say positive things. It would, a lot of things. Because see, the thing is, a man wants to make his wife happy, but if you say,
right,
don't say, well, what you're doing doesn't make me happy. Say what you want him to do. Say, when you come home and you see problems that are going on and you handle it, you say, oh, I see that problem, I'll handle it. That makes me happy. It makes me happy when you say I'll handle it, and then you handle it, and you don't put it all on me. Because what happens is it's a burden. You put all these responsibilities. She's got to figure out solve all these problems. It's unfair to her. You're putting too much on her, too much of a burden on her. So but basically, if you say, if you would handle this, it would make me happy, and you handle it, then just think about it in a workplace situation. If you have an employee who just does whatever he's told, okay, he does whatever he's told. But if you have an employee who says, I see this problem here, and I found this solution, and if we do this, we'll save $1 million a year. Oh, wow, that's simple. So it's the same thing at home. You come home, I see this problem here, I'll handle it, and I'm not going to leave it all on you. I'll take care of it. Women really like that. It makes them feel like they're with a man who makes them feel safe and protected. It really makes a difference.
Don't tell her you're going to handle it and go out in the garage and do something else. Handle it.
Of course. Well, exactly. You say, I'll handle it, and then you handle it, and like you should. And that's like I said, I had men say to me, well, what if she doesn't let me lead? Or I said, she doesn't need to let you. She wants you to lead. She wants you to step forward and handle it, and she wants you to be a good leader. She doesn't want you to, create disasters, but she really does want you to. And if you think, one of the things I talk also in the new book, Wear the Pants, is what if the woman disagrees with you? So men will say, wait, I tried to lead, but she undermined me, she criticized me, so I just withdrew. So men are sensitive. They don't like being undermined or criticized. So there's a chapter like, if you disagree with what your husband wants to do, tell him in a positive way. Tell him in a helpful way, so that my partner, she's my partner. She's trying to help me. She says, instead of saying, well, you didn't do this, say, have you thought of doing this instead? This might be a better idea. Oh, yeah, maybe it is. Instead of saying, well, that was a stupid thing you did. It's like, because men really want to make you happy. So if you're criticizing them, he's not making you happy. But tell him in a way that you want to help him. That's really an important part of inspiring him to take the lead and make decisions.
Definitely. Completely agree with that. Okay, so now why is it not flattering or a compliment for a man to always let the woman make all the decisions?
Why is that flattering to the woman? Is that the question?
Yeah. Yeah. See, some men may think, well, but I'm letting her have her way all the time. Why isn't that true?
That's a great question. And, one of the areas I talk about, because I've heard women talk about this, and I have to tell you for myself, I wondered about this, is planning a vacation. Like, I've heard lots of women say, well, he won't plan the vacation. And I really thought, well, look, he's saying to you, you plan the vacation, I'll pay for it. Like, what could be better than that? No, she wants you to plan the vacation with her or come up with ideas. And it really makes a difference. Because, she just wants you to take charge and not leave all these responsibilities to her. And it's interesting. You think, well, plan the vacation. We'll do what you want. I would rather go into the wilderness. But we'll do what you want. You want to go to resorts? I'd rather go camping in the woods. You'd rather go to a luxury hotel. We'll do it your way. I mean, obviously, when you're planning the vacation for both of you, you got to take into account what she wants. She doesn't want to go camp in the wilderness. Okay. So you don't do that. But, she wants you to work with her and come up with some ideas and not leave it all to her. It's really, in my own journey and like the journey with the men I've coached, like I said, we realize that does it really make such a difference, and it really does. So I tell men, try it. See what happens. I tell women, try using this book. Don't expect him. You thought he should know this, but he doesn't. Try using these strategies to inspire him to step forward and take the lead and make decisions, and you'll see what a difference it makes.
Well, and it may be rough in spots. You may have to, tweak some things and work on them. I mean, it's not going to be perfectly smooth every time because, people are different. But, you got to work on things. But there are action plans at the end of each chapter, I discovered. That's interesting. So there are examples, and you work through them and questions, and so you're not just left on your own to kind of make it up and figure out what to do. There's actual action plans and questions to work through.
Right.
I like
so
that.
The action plans are questions that you fill in the answers, and those answers create your plan for dealing with the situation. Right. So you might say, what is holding him back from taking the lead more? Maybe he's afraid of making mistakes. Maybe he sees himself as easygoing. So if he's afraid of making mistakes, you say, I think you're smart, and I think that if you're afraid of making mistakes, you'll be very careful to make very good decisions. You won't be sloppy because you don't want to make mistakes. So that's a positive thing. Oh, wait, that will inspire him. If he's afraid you're going to criticize him, says, I won't criticize you. I'm here to support you. Let's hear what your ideas, your plan, and let's work on them together. I don't want to be the only one coming up with plans. You have good ideas. Oh, okay. But you got to carry through. You got to be, because that's really what a man wants, right? There's a saying, and it's the title of one of the chapters, behind every great man is a great woman. And that's what he wants. That's what every man wants. He wants that great woman who, when a man says, and I've heard men say this, is, whatever I achieved, I couldn't have done it without my wife. That's the wife every man wants. So you're there for him saying, yeah, we can do this. You're able to do it. You're smart. You have good ideas. I want your ideas. I want your input. Oh, okay. That's what a man, really wants.
There you go. And you can both have input and figure out the solutions.
Absolutely. It's both. I just want to clarify. It's not about the man making every decision with no input. This is about the men who give no input, who don't want to be part of making decisions, who avoid making decisions. No, absolutely, work together. Just don't say whatever you want and have no input, and just stand back and wait for the wife to tell you what to do. That's a very important point.
Yeah.
It's both people. Maybe I don't emphasize that enough. It's both people. Both people means the man and the woman. It doesn't mean the man can sit back and say, "Oh, I'll let her decide everything. I'll let her handle it."
Yeah. Well, and if the wife has been making all the decisions, then she could help and if he hasn't made decisions and doesn't have any idea how, they could work together and learn and understand how to do it. So, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to work together and do things.
Absolutely.
But you want to do it kindly and politely and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to. I think men are able to make decisions and have ideas and come up with ideas to solve problems. I remember one of the men I coached early on. He said to me, and I quote him in the book. He says, "I'm a nice guy. I want to be a nice guy. I let my wife make all the decisions." And then he admitted, "But it's also easier to let her make all the decisions." I said, "Yeah, it's easier. It's easier for you, but it's hard work for her. That's why she wants you to be part of it." But you justify it by saying, "I'm a nice guy. I'm an easygoing guy. I let her decide everything." But really, you're just shirking your responsibilities. You're just leaving all the responsibilities on her, and you're justified by saying, "Oh, but I'm such a nice guy." She doesn't want a nice guy.
So what are some examples of situations where men may purposely avoid taking the lead, and what can a woman do to get him to stop leaving all of it to her? There may be some areas where around the home where the woman maybe just knows more about the situation, like with stuff with the kids or say in the kitchen. I know some people in the home, they say like the outdoors is the man's terrain, the indoors is the woman's domain, that kind of thing. How can she motivate him to step up and take the lead in areas that maybe he doesn't know as much about?
Well, that's really what the book is about. So you're right. There are some things, and I do talk about it in the book. Like there's some things, areas a man should decide, some areas a woman should decide. But the main thing, and that's fine. I mean, some things a woman knows more about, so she should make the decisions on that. But some things a man knows more about. But I tell men, just because there are some things a woman should decide doesn't mean she should make all the decisions about everything. You can't say every decision, that's when the woman should decide. That's what the woman. So it says, when I tell women in the book, I said, when you ask for his input, and he says, whatever you want, say, not only what I want is to know what you want, but I asked you because I want your input. If you ask for his input, you want his input. So then let him tell you what he thinks. It's and don't say it doesn't matter. So it's really say, I want your input. I find men who are decisive very attractive, very sexy. I respect them a lot.
Well, too, even if one or the other has more information and could make the decision easier, if they talk through the decision, the other partner can learn more about it, right? Right.
The main thing is, a lot of men today, they really feel their role is to be a provider, right? So they go out in the world and they work hard, and the men I know, they all worked very hard, and to provide a good income, a good livelihood for their family, and they think, well, that's my job. I will let my wife run the home. She's a woman. She knows more about this stuff than I do. And they don't understand, well, one of the things I say in my book, if you think just providing money and a home is going to be enough to be a father of a family, you're going to have a lot of problems. Because really, your job is to be a leader of the family, a teacher to the kids, to teach your kids how to live in this world, share with them your life experience. There's all these things that you need to do, and so many men are so they're so focused on earning money that they neglect the part about being a father, which is like you're really being a teacher and a leader and a guide and a mentor to your children. And if you ignore that, then your wife will resent you. Say, well, what do I need him for? He's not really being a father, much of a father to the children. You need to inspire him, make him realize, you have your life experience. You can help our children. You could share it with our children. They really need to hear, your wisdom about life. And when I coach men about this as well, it's like, you're not just here to provide money. You're here. You have life experience. You have wisdom. You can mentor your kids. You can teach them what you learned. Teach them what you learned the hard way, so it won't be so hard on them. Hopefully, that all these things. It's just men got to get out of this. Like, where I'm here to bring home the money. Your job is a lot more than that.
That's true. Well, and a lot of times the wife has a job too. So,
Right.
Okay,
But when the wife has a job, it's often she's still, has a lot of roles as a mother too. I mean, not in every situation, but often, she's also the mother. But the father feels, well, I'm just, bringing home the money. That should be. I mean, they're still involved, but they don't realize how important they are to be a teacher and a guide to the children.
That's right. He does. So what can she or should she do when he avoids taking the lead because he thinks that he needs to let her take the lead?
Well, exactly. That's what the book is about. It's all the things, that's what he thinks. All the things you need to say to him to inspire him to be a leader and to make decisions. It's like, I would really like you to handle this. I would really like it if you would, it would make me happy if you wouldn't wait for me to tell you everything. When you come home from work, I appreciate that you asked me what to do, but I would like you to just look around and see what's happening and say, here, I see this situation. I'll handle it. I'll do some research. Now with the internet, you can look up problems and find solutions pretty easily. So I found a solution. I'm going to handle it. What do you think of doing this? Do you decide if it's something you should ask her about? What do you do about if you come to her empty-handed and say, well, there's a problem here, what should we do? Because you think she knows better than you, or you just think, well, what you think? They think, if I just do what she wants, she won't criticize me. She's going to be very frustrated.
Yeah, you can probably find a video about how to fix it.
Absolutely. You just any problem you have, Google it. An article will come up. A video will come up. I'll give you lots of ideas. Lots of ideas.
No doubt. Now, I want to reinforce this one more time. Okay. What about if she disagrees with his solution? What should she do? Or hold on. What should she not do if she disagrees?
Well,
maybe that's more important.
Well, the first thing, you don't attack the person. You don't criticize them. You don't say that's a stupid idea. You look at what he's looking at and say, okay, well, I think this part is a good idea, but maybe for this other part, have you considered what will happen here? But you'll consider what will happen there. Have you thought of the long-term impact of what you want to do? Like the example I give in the book is where the husband wants to invest their retirement savings in an investment that can make a lot of money, but the wife says, well, have you thought how it might impact our relationship? And he says, well, what do you mean? He says, well, I think that investment's kind of higher risk, and it could lead to financial stress for us, which would really damage our relationship. And he said, oh, I hadn't thought of that. If you're pointing out something to him that he hadn't thought of, well, he's grateful to you because you're helping him, and that's what he wants. So in that situation, they decide, okay, we'll put some money into this higher risk investment, but the rest then we'll diversify and put it in lower risk investments. And she appreciates that. So the idea is I point out things that he hadn't thought of in a polite, helpful way, and I'll say, oh wow, it's so great to be married to you because you are so helpful to me.
But you want to do it kindly and tactfully, and not in a criticizing and attacking kind of way.
Exactly.
That always helps. So, what should a man do that reads the book?
Well, if he reads How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants, he should imagine that his wife is saying these things to him because that's what she feels, and just realize realize that she really wants you to wear the pants. She really wants you to take charge and take responsibility and take the lead on dealing with situations. And when there's a decision to be made, she doesn't want you to say whatever you want. She actually wants you to, make a decision. So that's the main thing. Read the book and realize this is your wife talking to you. This is what she wants. Just do it. And maybe she didn't express it to you in words that you understood to realize this is what she wants. Well, that's what this book is about. It's also telling her ways to say things to men so they actually comprehend what you want and become the man that you want. It's interesting because like I said, I wrote this book in response to women who read the first book, which was for men who said, how do I get my man to wear the pants, to take charge, and stop leaving all decisions on me? That was like so. When I wrote the book for men, I really thought I would tell men, read the book, don't show it to your wife, just do it. You'll see there'll be a difference. And the amazing thing was, it was women were the biggest fans of the book, saying, how do I get my husband to read this book? How do I get him to do it? I was coaching one man, and his wife was kind of worried about what I was saying, and I said to him, well, here, give her the book to read so she'll understand what we're talking about. She read the book. She told him, you're not doing what the book says. Let's read the book together. So it's like, the message is, this is what women really want. We weren't taught that. The men of this generation weren't taught this is what a man should be. So that's what the Being the Strong Man and Woman Wants book is about. And then How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants is like how a woman should talk to a man to get him to do these things in ways that inspires him. That's really the message. It's like, sometimes, like, it's what do they say? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So how do you say it? And instead of being fed up with him and resenting him, ask yourself, what does he need to hear to be inspired to take charge and make decisions in this situation? What does he need to hear? Not what you want to say. You might want to say, hey, you're so whatever. I'm so fed up with you. I'm so frustrated. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere. But what are you going to say? How do you say it in a way that he'll be inspired? Ask yourself that question. So and hopefully you apply the strategies in the book. He will respond that way.
That's it. What are you going to say that's going to be helpful?
Exactly.
And motivating. So I hear that if people would like to see a sample of the book, you'll send it to them. Is that true?
Right. So if you want to get a sample chapter, I'd be happy to send it to you. Just write to my email address. It's Elliott R. Katz, ELLIOTT, 2 T's, RKATZ, at AOL.com. I'll send you the sample chapter. And if you want to talk to me, you can contact me through my website. And I'm really, like, if you have questions, I'd be happy to talk to you because, I'm really on a mission. I really feel, like I said earlier, there's too many divorces. There's too many children from broken homes. If people learned these things, they could probably save their marriages. So that's my mission. feel free to contact me. My website is www.elliottKatz.com, ELLIOTTKATZ.com. And the 2 books, if you want to read them, they're available on Amazon as a paperback, an ebook, and an audiobook. So you have your choice. Being the Strong Man a Woman Wants, Timeless Wisdom on Being a Man, and How to Get Your Man to Wear the Pants so you don't have to, inspiring him to make more decisions, take the lead, and stop leaving it all to you.
That is a long title. You know that?
Yeah, it is. But I wanted to get the message across. And really, if people want to just, contact me, I'm happy to talk to people. If you want like ongoing coaching, that's one thing. But if you just want to talk for half an hour or so, I'm happy to talk to you and share with you ideas that can help you solve your situation.
All right. Well, I will have Elliott's information, his contact information, links, his email, all that information, and a replay of tonight's show, and the show about the other book that we did, and the replay from last week, which, like I said, I think is a real good complement to the this week's show, talking about relationships and all that sort of thing, and about the male-female relation, all that. I just think it's a good compliment. The show page will be www.lovecoachjourney.com/wearthepants. So I think that's, and I know that's available. I know I haven't used that yet. All right. Well, thank you for being here today, Elliott. It was good talking to you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's great talking to you, Nikki. I wish you only continued success with your show.
Well, thank you very much. And listeners, I'll be with you next time on Ready for Love Radio.